Today I'm at MotoZone in Dubai, and I'm going to be taking a break from riding the GS, and I'm going to be trying my hand at the KTM 450 out in the dunes. Now, I don't have a lot of experience riding dirt bikes, so I've come to MotoZone to get some pointers on the best way to go about doing it. I'm sitting down with Tony, the founding director of MotoZone. Tony, thank you for having me here today.
Hi Mike, it's a pleasure to have you here at MotoZone.
So what was the inspiration for MotoZone? It seems like you guys have a bit of everything as far as desert fun.
Yeah, so the whole idea behind MotoZone was, it was a passion for me from the beginning. I've always enjoyed riding bikes and I've done it since I was younger. And for me, when I first came here to the UAE, I also wanted to fulfill my passion of riding here. And I'd seen many different places around, and some places offered similar services to like what we do now. But you know, we found a niche, and there was a niche in the market for something that was a bit extra. So this is where it all went to for me. And I wanted to build something up that had a community of people and build a good storage unit, a good workshop, and everything else around it, around the sport that for me was my passion, what I loved.
Terrific. And how long have you been here at MotoZone now?
So MotoZone opened in January 2020, so we've been operating for 4 years now.
What services do you offer for riders?
Multiple different services. So we can start off with training, which is where we start off for people who are complete beginners, no experience in riding at all. And with training, we go from beginners all the way up to experienced riders. Could be people who are looking to compete and they want a bit of a refresher in the desert and get a feeling for how the desert feels compared to possibly being where they are back home in Europe, where it's a lot more harder terrain. We've got a storage facility, which is catered not just for bikes, we also do offer for quad bikes and buggies. And in that, we offer different packages and services, starting from just storage, all the way up to full service, fuel and everything else that you need for general maintenance of your vehicle. Also, we've got a workshop, specifically where we work just for bikes. We can do some other work, we also do quad bikes, but buggies is minimum. For us, we specialise more in bikes, so we can do suspensions, rebuilds, we can do full engine rebuilds, and any other of your general maintenance stuff, custom graphics, seats, covers, everything.
Great, okay. Yeah. So from beginner to expert levels of training you offer here? Yeah,
we can start all the way from the beginning, complete newbies. So never experienced riding a bike before. 6 years old is the youngest that we start off at. So we've got small bikes, 50 cc's, and working up from there, we've got 65, 85, 250s and 450s. So we can cater literally for everybody.
Do you have many people from abroad that are on vacation that want to try riding in the sand come here?
Yeah, we have lots and lots of people that come here from abroad. And you know, the really important thing is that we're different from any other company is that we actually provide literally everything. So you don't have to bring anything with you. We have people that come on 3-4 day tours from abroad, and we provide everything: helmets, boots, goggles, jerseys, the bike, fuel, everything. They don't have to worry about bringing anything with them. We use some amazing equipment here with our partnership with Oldtimer. They provide us all Alpine Star kit, so you know that you're going to get the best service because you've got a reputable name that's taking care of your safety.
That's a great way to get introduced to the sport. You really don't have to invest in all that upfront expense to come here, try it out, and see if it's really something you want to pursue. Exactly. And get the training.
Exactly. You know, it is bikes, it is motors, it is a heavy investment up front, but obviously we want to be the gateway for people to be able to make that step, experience it without bearing the heavy costs at the beginning. So
if someone's never ridden a bike, what can they expect on their first visit? What services do you offer for somebody that has no experience at all?
And first of all, we'd start literally just on a flat.
Okay.
So no dunes, no desert, flat, hard, compact ground, just so that you can get used to feeling the bike, get used to using the clutch, get used to using the throttle, all the gears, and especially most important is your seating position. Right. You know, this also applies for people who are road riders and they have experience maybe on super bikes, and they need to also learn how to get into the off-road because it's completely different. For example, no use of front brake. Your seating position is completely different. The way that you grip the bike and hold onto the bike is completely different. So these are all different features that you need to learn to be able to get actually into the desert.
What other collaborations do you do here at MotoZone? Is it just dirt and sand, or do you do other things as well?
So we've actually got a few other companies here, actually at MotoZone facility. We've got MotoMax, which is also an oil distribution company, and we've also got SAZ, which does off-road tours on quad bikes and buggies.
Excellent.
So also aside from that, MotoZone itself has some very unique sponsors like Karcher, who facilitate all of our cleaning here at MotoZone. We've also got RRS, which is perfect for hydration, as you know. Really hot summers here. We need to keep hydrated when we're out inside of the desert. And we've also got a few other sponsorships from oil companies and other people like that that really support MotoZone for, you know, our core fundamental values. And they believe in what we do, and we represent them.
Something that I've been toying around with is maybe starting to do some rally riding. Do you do offered trainings for someone who's looking to improve their skills to that level?
Yeah. So we offer trainings for people from a variety of skill levels, and we're starting to incorporate some type of roadbook training, which is good for people who are looking to do any type of navigation races, such as Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge, which is only just around the corner now. It's happening in the beginning of next month in March.
Exciting, yes.
And we can also do some type of training that's for like something like Dubai International Baja. Now the difference is International Baja here, it's quite open, it's open waypoints, so you'll get your navigation, you'll be able to see exactly where your waypoints are that you're going for Dubai International Baja, which is a 2-day race. And then if you're doing something like Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge, that's a 5-day race, but it will be closed waypoints, so it's a lot more about reading your road book, understanding how to navigate in the desert, which is the major part of actually doing these races. Right. And even here we host a few different Dakar racing teams over the years. We've had Yamaha racing team when they were a thing, and this month we'll have Hero racing team coming over here to MotoZone. They'll be doing their preparation ready for Abu Dhabi Desert Challenge.
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having them.
So what do you see the long-term vision for MotoZone at this point?
So the fundamentals of MotoZone is literally in the name, MotoZone. So a place where we incorporate anything to do with motorbikes or motors in general. Recently, we've just taken on a new business, which is called Wheelie and Stunts Dubai, which you've actually been to yourself.
That was an excellent day. I love that.
And this is the next step for us to go into similar, something to do with motors and something different, something that UAE hasn't got to offer, and you know, a lot of part of the world doesn't even have to offer. And the idea is to keep on incorporating new ventures, new ideas, and new businesses within inside of the MotoZone brand that's going to expand us and make us even more unique than we already are.
So why don't we gear up and go out today and see what's in store for us?
Definitely. So Mike, let's go inside the bike storage and go find Seb. Here he is.
Hi, how's it going?
Hello, I'm Mike.
Sebastian, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Sebastian. So this is what we'll be riding today?
Yes, correct.
Excellent.
ADVM 450.
Beautiful. It's a lot different than the bike I'm used to, so I'm looking forward to getting some pointers on how to handle this thing correctly.
Yeah, sure, of course. So we'll run you through, you know, the basic body position.
Okay.
Obviously focus on what would be the main differences between adventure riding, and obviously translate that to motocross and run you through everything you need to know.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Cool. All right, so obviously we're going to run through safety. So the main priority with any off-road riding or any type of motorcycle riding is having the correct gear. So obviously ensuring you have your helmets, your boots, everything else. I can see.
All the gear, all the time. I came prepared today. My helmet's on the bike already, so.
Okay, perfect. That way. Yep, see, that's already a good start to it. Once we do head out, the one thing to really emphasize on is if I'm ever in front of you, I'll be taking the lead and obviously navigating you through the desert. Okay. Obviously stick to my lines as best as you can, because we are taking those lines for safety reasons. Okay. If at any point there is something ahead of me that I will just try to communicate to you just to give you a heads up. Flat hand would just mean caution, slow down. It's just to give you an awareness of what's ahead of me. It could be a ditch, it could be a grass, it could be a camel. You never really know. You never know going over the dunes. Exactly. Okay. Okay. If at any point I do come to a stop, it will be a closed fist. It's just to tell you that, you know, I'm slowing down, going to come to a stop. You can stop next to me or behind me, wherever you feel comfortable. Okay. Okay. Obviously, with the bikes as well, we all know they do have a lot of power, and that has to be respected as well. So always take cautious of your surroundings, the gravel, the terrain, anything that's around you, and just be vigilant with what's ahead of you. Great. If you can manage the power in the correct body position, then you'll be fine. I'm really looking forward to feeling the differences in the power. Riding the GS, obviously it's a big heavy bike. It's not responsive to throttle inputs. You really need to be good at choosing your line. So I'm excited to feel that differences of how smooth you need to roll on the throttle out there. Yes, exactly. So there'll be quite a few differences. The main thing would be the body positioning. So obviously due to the weight and the power delivery, there's a lot of things you have to adjust. But once we go down there, I'll start to, really give you the fine details of what correct body position you would need to focus on.
Okay.
And go from there.
Great, let's get kitted up and go.
Perfect, let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, so we're just going to start off with the basic seating position. So is this the normal seating position that you would normally ride on a GS?
The tank is really big, so I usually kind of sit pretty close to the tank. It depends on the terrain. Sometimes I'll move a little bit back, but the seat itself is kind of shaped to the hips. It's not nice and long like this, but yeah, I kind of sit probably in this position.
It's a good starting point. First of all, your elbows are up. That's something we always emphasize on. It's just to help with, the tank slap, the handlebars moving around a lot. It gives you a lot more leverage over the handlebars. So whenever you're going through soft sand and you feel the front start to dance around, always make sure your elbows are up. Okay. Then another thing you want to try focus on is also trying to rotate your hands in a little bit, and that just helps with keeping those elbows up nice and steady.
Okay.
Then as well, your seating position at the moment, it is really good because it's nice and forward, not too far back. A lot of people tend to think that if you sit far back, you get more traction and all that, but then you're compensating by losing control over the front.
Okay, a little bit more loose.
So you always try to sit nice and far forward, because if you have control over the front, the back always follows the front.
I like that.
Yeah. So if you're nice and far forward and you control over this,
Okay.
you're not going to be tense because you feel in control, so you're not going to be squeezing the handlebars. You're not going to have a death grip. So nice and far forward. Another thing that might come into play here, what we always emphasize on, is focusing on squeezing the bike with your legs.
Right.
Okay. So whenever you feel the bike start to jiggle a lot in the sand,
Okay.
elbows up, make sure you got that nice firm position, and then squeeze the bike a bit with your legs and give a little bit of power, and you'll feel it start to straighten out a bit.
It's that front end wobble that seems to be the hardest thing for riders to overcome. As soon as that starts to happen, you just want to hold on really tight.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, we just kind of need to let it go.
Yep. The good way I like to explain it is a lot of people, when it starts to do that, they tend to just squeeze as hard as they can. In reality, your hands are only this much attached to the bike. It's not a massive part, so it's not really doing much.
Right.
If anything, it's making you more stiff and absorbing every bump and overcorrecting every bump. If you start to relax your hands a little bit, just make sure your elbows are up, let that movement flow through your arms.
Okay.
But as soon as it's a drastic movement, then of course you need to stiffen up. Okay. But every small movement, it's natural, it's going to happen the whole time. If you tense and fighting it all the time, you'll be fighting it the whole day long.
Arm pump.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, let's go on to standing position.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how your normal standing position would be if you feel comfortable in that with
Yeah.
riding a GS.
Again, with the GS, I hold right at the kind of the narrow part of the seat. My feet tend to be on the balls of the foot, or even just slightly behind the ball of the foot. I keep my elbows wide and yeah, looking in the distance.
Okay, good. All right. So the balls of the feet is a good point. We always emphasize on that as well. It gives you a lot of stability and it allows you to drop your ankles a bit and just give that bit more flex and suspension in the legs.
Right.
Okay. The second one that is correct already is your elbows are already out.
Okay.
And you are pointing your chest in the right direction, looking ahead. Okay. The only thing that I would really adjust is the knee position and just bringing your chest a little bit more down.
So bend at the waist, bring the chest down.
Yeah. So if we go back to your position now, up like this, and your knees are far forward.
Yes.
You see now your knees are in front of the pegs.
Okay.
If I had to apply a little bit of pressure, let's say you accelerate,
Yep.
you fall back really easy.
Yep.
Which makes you hold more tensely on your arms.
Okay.
And then you're just gonna get arm pump once again.
Okay.
Okay, so what we like to try focus on is rather pushing your knees back until as far as you can.
Oh, wow.
Yep. It feels awkward in the beginning, but you'll see why we do it.
Okay.
From here, you can see your knees are above in line with your pegs.
Yep.
Okay. From here, what I want you to do is try to rotate with your hips and push your bum out and bring your chest closer and upwards. It feels awkward, it hurts your lower back.
I have some exercises to do.
Yeah. But now if you put your hands on the bar and if I apply pressure, look at that.
Yeah, much more stable.
A lot of force and you're not going back.
Okay.
Because now you're using your legs, your core, your lower back, all your other strong muscles to keep you in that steady position.
Okay.
Rather than just your arms. If you apply gas or anything, you're gonna fall back.
Okay.
Okay.
Straighter legs.
Yep. And then and with that movement as well, as soon as you get on the gas or accelerate, you're gonna push your head forward to compensate for that force pulling you back.
Okay.
And the vice versa when you're gonna brake as well. You'll already be moving back.
Are you primarily holding the narrow part? Are you ever coming up closer towards the tank and the radiators?
Always the narrow part.
Always the narrow part.
Your knees to be in line with the pegs.
Okay.
Kind of as far back as you want.
Okay.
Only if you going over a bump and you have to flex for that movement will it go forward.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Again, with the GS is very front heavy. The engine's down low in its front, the tank is big and in front, all that weight is up there. I really find that I have to use my upper body weight, so I do bend my knees a bit more to help get that weight, but I'm gonna work on getting those shins a little bit straighter.
Yep, pushing them back. You can also drop your ankles a little bit.
Okay,
heels,
yep.
just to apply that force as well.
Can you show me how the body positioning is for cornering on this? Because on my GS, again, it's really just pushing that bike down and weighting that outside peg. I know with the dirt bikes, they're lighter, you've got a longer seat to move with. What's the best way for me to learn some of these steps?
Okay, so obviously, first of all, what you said, weighting the outside peg is something we would still use as well, and also counterbalancing.
Okay.
So the biggest thing what we struggle with here is there's not a lot of traction. It's off-road, it's really slick. I'm sure you have the same thing when you go on a gravel road.
Right.
I always like to explain to people the main difference between on-road and off-road cornering is on-road bike, you have lots of traction and you can see the MXGP guys leaning on the inside of the bike because they have that grip. It's not going to wash out, it's not going to slide out. Whereas we're struggling to find traction. So we're going to focus on keeping our weight on the outside and applying that downward force to the tires so it catches grip.
Okay.
And actually pulls. So on that concept, it is the same. We would also be counterbalancing and trying to keep our weight on the outside peg. But another key feature, what we would do is try to scoot forward so that your legs are holding the front of the bike and you have good grip with the bike.
And that's why that seat comes all the way up.
All the way up.
Okay.
Exactly. And then once you are up in the front, you really need to focus on keeping your elbows up and keeping your chest really in a nice, good, strong position.
Okay.
From here, you're going to lean the bike over and obviously counterbalance.
Right.
But what you need to remember is, like I said, we're going to have our elbows up, but as you do counterbalance, make sure that this outside elbow stays nice and high. Okay. Because that's what's controlling the angle of the handlebars.
Right.
If it hits a bump or jars anywhere, you got that movement to play.
Okay.
If your elbow was down like this and you hit something, it's going to offset.
Collapse right down.
Exactly.
Okay.
You don't have that strong control over the handlebar. Okay. Obviously, the second part is we insist on, would you mind just holding it in the front? Yep. I'll just demonstrate with my leg. We focus on keeping our inside leg out. Okay. So always if you're turning right, your right leg will be out. So this helps with balance, a bit of confidence, because you know if the bike does try to fall over, you can always stop it with your leg. Okay. Okay. But with this, just make sure that your thigh is nice and high and against the bike. You don't want it to be 45 like this, because if you do hit something, it pulls you sideways. Okay. You want it to be nice and firm against the bike so you have a good feeling for the bike and you can rely on that pressure to push it down. Then secondly, your knee always needs to be a little bit bent. If it's too straight and you do hit something, it's going to go the opposite way. Okay. You don't want that.
Yeah, again, with the adventure bikes, I never have my leg out. My feet are always on the foot peg, unless I need to do a foot dab, and then it's either, you know, straight down or just slightly behind. Yeah. The bikes are just too big and heavy to really be able to do this technique.
Exactly. Yep. You'd really struggle to kind of trust yourself to do this.
Yeah. Okay.
Another key thing is just making sure that your toe is pointed forward in the direction the bike is traveling. Okay. As soon as it's out, your knee tends to come out. Okay. So that's a big factor to always remember, that as your toe comes out, the same with even your standing position. If your toe comes out, your knee comes out and you struggle to hold the bike. Other than that, always on corners, I just emphasize on trying to always look through the corner. If you're focusing too close, you're always going to run wide. Okay. Okay, so try to look through the corner where you're going. When you're coming in, you're going to be looking halfway through the corner. Once you get to halfway, you're really looking at the exit. It just helps you from not being too focused on what's in front of you, because all of a sudden the corner might change over there and you're already running wide, too much speed. Rather enter slower, keep it nice and controlled, stay nice and smooth on the gas until you get to the exit, then you can start to roll on. Got it. Okay, it's looking good so far.
There's a lot of power to that throttle.
Definitely a lot of power. So that's one thing that I mentioned before, just being nice and smooth on the power. But two things just to focus on is, one, when you are cornering, you're cornering like this, just try to sort of rotate your hips outwards and pull your chest up. Okay. You'll feel it just gives you a lot more control over the handlebars and it just drives you in the right direction. Okay. Yeah. If you are accelerating out of a corner, just always remember to lean into that acceleration.
Lean more, okay.
Same with when you're going to roll off, you in control of the throttle. So as long as you're anticipating what you're going to do with the throttle and you're adjusting your body position to that movement,
okay,
using less energy, you're not holding on as tight, which gives you finer throttle control.
all right.
Okay, so always remember as you're coming out, roll on, lean into the acceleration. When you're going to slow down, lean back with it.
Let me try the seated cornering one more time.
But just try to, you could even scoot up more if you like.
Okay.
So a lot of times people tend to sit a bit too far back, but then rather lean forward with their chest.
All right.
And as soon as you're doing that, all you're doing is applying a bit too much pressure on the front wheel, and it becomes a bit more harder to steer it, especially when we go into the soft sand.
Okay.
So the further you sit forward on the seat, the more upright you can be. And if you feel like the corners, if you're going wide on the corner, then you can lean a bit more forward.
Okay.
But in general, try to sit far forward as you can and just keep your body nice and upright, elbows up, and then just counterbalance.
It's a lot to process. Again, that power delivery is just so abrupt. I'm looking forward to the open space of the dunes.
Yes, yes, that's the easy part when you have lots of open space.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Give it another try.
Cool. Many riders start off on these and then eventually work up to riding adventure bikes when they get older. I'm doing it all backwards and it's quite the challenge, but I'm enjoying it.
What I'll focus on now is just sitting really far forward.
Smooth.
Smooth, super smooth on the throttle.
Okay.
And the more upright I am on the bike and the more on the outside, you can see how low I can actually pitch the bike
Yes.
before it actually breaks traction. That's just from weighting the outside.
Let me give that a try. I can feel that starting to come together now.
That's a great improvement already.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See, because as soon as you do it nice and slow and smooth, you get the correct position after that speed comes.
Excellent.
Yeah, that looks a lot more in control.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Let's go hit the dunes.
Cool, let's do it.
So after spending some time getting down the fundamentals of the correct body positioning and getting used to how that acceleration comes on, Tony joined us out in the dunes and we go for a ride. It's so important to get that correct distance between the riders when riding in a group so that you have the ability to stop if you need to, if somebody in front goes down. Riding sand is a challenging surface to ride on. There's always the inevitable time someone gets stuck or there's a tip over, so riding at a safe distance between and slightly off of the center line is really important. Keeping that visual of the rider in front of you, knowing where they are at all times. So there's a lot to process as you're riding out in the dunes. These bikes are nice and easy to accelerate on. It's so important to get that body positioning first before you use that accelerator to keep the arm pump to a minimum as you're driving through the more open spaces like this. When you're driving over dunes, sometimes you can't see what's on the other side, so you really need to be quick with your body positioning to get into that emergency braking situation. Coming across camels, they always have the right of way, so you need to give a wide berth where you can so that they can keep moving on at their own pace. The camel grass and bushes was a fun experience to be able to kind of use them as big cones slalom and work on the body positioning, counterweighting the bike as you're going through. And the flat areas are just really fun to work on that acceleration, the braking, counterbalancing the bike. So many lines to choose. Just miles and miles of open space to ride.
Anthony, thank you so much for having me today. It was a lot of fun. Seb, thanks for all the tips. I've certainly got to work on getting that low back a little bit looser and keeping those lower legs nice and straight. But what a great place to come learn how to do it. So if someone wants to get in touch with you here at MotoZone, how do they go about doing that?
Best way to get in touch is either go to www.motorzone.ae or you can follow us on Instagram at @motorzone_Dubai.
Give them a call. If you're in Dubai, come out, enjoy the sunshine, maybe see some camels. Have a great time.
See you guys.